ashes of destruction. I was the last survivor. I chose to pass my knowledge on to only one. I created a legacy so resilient that now you come before me.
He is that strong, is he? This Bane? Popex nodded. I think he might be the one we've been searching for. He could be the Sith'ari. Before he can claim that title, Cordis said with a cunning smile, he'll have to survive his training. So as we know in canon, prophecy of the Chosen One was said that there would be a being that would bring balance to the Force. And I'm not going to sit here and say Anakin Skywalker was not the Chosen One, because he was. Destroying the Emperor and himself, he brought balance to the Force, from a certain point of view anyhow.
No, there is another.
And that leads us to what we're going to be talking about today, and that is how Darth Bane was the Chosen One, or at least a Chosen One, and a Chosen One of the dark side of the Force and the Sith. Before we get started, if you could take the 2 seconds to hit that thumbs up button, or the thumbs down button, either way works. It really helps out with the algorithm and support the small channels. Without further ado, let's get started. So, 1,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, there lived a Sith named Darth Bane. He wasn't like a typical Jedi or Force user that was raised at an early age. He was in his 20s before he was sent to Korriban and learned his studies. And that is where he realized that the Sith of his era were wrong. Side note, his real name was Dessel, and he was a soldier for the Sith before they realized his true abilities. The Brotherhood of Darkness, that's what they called themselves. And their leader was the Dark Lord Khan. The leader at the academy was Cordis, and he was also Bane's master for a time. It was here that Bane learned the term Sith'ari, and this is what his master Cordis had to say on the matter. Some of the old texts speak of the Sith'ari, Cordis answered slowly, gesturing with a ring-laden claw at the books scattered about the room. They say the Sith will one day be led by a perfect being, one who embodies the dark side and all we stand for. This is from chapter 11 of Path of Destruction. After spending a lot of time on Korriban at the academy, reading ancient texts that were there, just spending time with the Brotherhood of Darkness, he came to realize the weaknesses and flaws of them. Like how they didn't use the title Darth anymore, and how they gave the title of Dark Lord away to so many in the academy like it was a bargain sale.
Yes, naturally, it's a Super Saiyan bargain sale.
And Bane just realized how there was just so many Sith at the Academy and many weak Sith that just diluted the power of the dark side, especially at Korriban, and he needed to leave.
You need to leave!
So at this point, Bane was already stronger than anyone at the Academy, and he wanted no part of the weak Brotherhood of Darkness. So he left and went to the planet Lehan, better known as the Unknown World. This is the same planet where Darth Revan and Darth Malak would go many years before Bane and discover the ever so ancient and powerful Rakatan Empire, and with it the Starforge. But that's for another day in another video. Bane went to Lehan to go to a planet more powerful on the dark side, and Lehan was perfect for that. It was crawling with dark remnants everywhere. I mean, there were rancors, and of course the remnants of arguably the greatest evil and dark side empire in Star Wars ever, the Rakatan Empire. He was in search of answers and how to become more powerful as a Sith and to simply learn more. Using the Force, he rode a rancor to a particular destination on the planet, ancient Rakatan Temple. Deep in the lower level of this temple, Bane discovered a long-lost and forgotten treasure, a Sith holocron of a Darth, and not just any Dark Lord of the Sith, that of Darth Revan. He had hit the jackpot. Bane learned more from Revan and the holocron in weeks than he did in months at the Academy back with the Brotherhood of Darkness. Those who accept the power of the dark side must also accept the challenge of holding on to it, Revan continued. By its very nature, the dark side invites rivalry and strife. This is the greatest strength of the Sith. It culls the weak from our order. Yet this rivalry can also be our greatest weakness. The strong must be careful, lest they be overwhelmed by the ambitions of those beneath them working in concert. Any master who instructs more than one apprentice in the ways of the dark side is a fool. In time, the apprentices will unite their strength and overthrow the master. It is inevitable. axiomatic. That is why each master must have only one student. Bane really connected with Revan, and he really felt that within his teachings about how they just related and how he was feeling at the academy. Before not too long, the holocron ran out of power and was no longer useful. Bane destroyed it, as Revan had taught him to discard what was no longer useful. He had learned all he needed to at this point and found the answers he was searching for within the dark side of the Force and the Sith Order, and he came to a great realization. Two there should be, no more, no less. One to embody the power, the other to crave it. The rule of two. This was the knowledge that would lead the dark side into a new age. A revelation that would bring an end to the infighting that had defined the Order for 1,000 generations. On the planet Rusan, brought his first motion of bringing balance to the galaxy. Through coercion, power of the dark side, pure deception, he caused the destruction and the purge of the Brotherhood of Darkness. The Brotherhood must be purged. Sith must be destroyed and rebuilt. I mean, he basically screwed over the Brotherhood royally by falsely commanding the blockade of their fleet on that planet to stop, allowing Jedi reinforcements to arrive and change the tide of a great battle that Lord Khan and the rest of the Brotherhood were having between the Jedi. And Khan and his forces were actually winning this fight, but because of this, reinforcements from the Republic were allowed to get through because there's no blockade and turn the tide. This forced Lord Khan and the rest of the Brotherhood to retreat. Bane did almost too good of a job because the Jedi were actually wondering if they had someone on the inside of the Brotherhood helping them. After causing that defeat, he manipulated Lord Khan one more time, pushing the Brotherhood on, nagging them on to use a thought bomb against the Jedi and the Rusan caves. Fun fact, the thought bomb basically ripped your soul from your body and evaporated your corpse. The thought bomb was used to destroy the Jedi on Rusan, but Bane knew it would do more than that. He just tricked them into thinking that it would destroy the Jedi. Sure, it did cause considerable casualties to the Jedi. They did take out 100 with them, but the bomb went both ways and wiped out the last of the Brotherhood that was within the cavern of Rusan. The Jedi thought the Sith were all but extinct now, and they were, albeit Darth Bane, the Dark Lord of the Sith. Bane was all that was left now of the Sith Order, and it was up to him to rebuild. Bane's next steps would be find an apprentice to crave his power, which he did, and his rule of two Sith would continue on for the next 1,000 years. And this leads us into how Bane was the Sith'ari, the chosen one of his era, and how he brought balance to the Star Wars galaxy, along with how ties into more current Star Wars timelines. By destroying the Sith, Bane wiped out a large chunk of one spectrum of the Force, leaving it heavily dominated by the light side. However, this rule of two Sith grew stronger in secret, tipping the scale back to more balance. Eventually, Darth Sidious would fully realize Bane's plan through secrecy and deception and wipe out the vast majority of the Jedi with Order 66. And this brought more balance to the galaxy and the Force. The dogmatic, one-sided Jedi were all but gone, and the chaotic Sith of old existed no more. Of the infighting, chaotic Sith that just brought imbalance to the Force, and no more Jedi with their dogmatic ways and using one side of the Force and having just so many rules, a lot darker in tone than they realized. Sidious's empire did not last long in the grand scheme of things. It was technically one of Bane's rule of two Sith, Darth Vader, who would destroy the Sith, bringing balance to the Force. So, directly and calculated indirectly, Bane wiped out the majority of both Sith and Jedi. This left the galaxy only with more balanced Force users that rather than pick a side of the Force, let the Force guide them, like Ahsoka and even Luke Skywalker to some extent, even if they were inherently more on the light side.
Look, the wide world exists in balance. Feel the Force all around you. Through the Force, you will find balance as well.
And side note here, the Darth Bane trilogy, like these 3 books, highly recommend. Rule of Two, Dynasty of Evil, Path of Destruction. If you're trying to get into Star Wars reading, that's a good place to start. Really good books to read. When I was making this video, doing research on it even, I got sidetracked a lot rereading what I've already read just because they're just such good books. I hope you have a great day and subscribe for more Star Wars videos.